Hey, what's going on, guys? Last Viking TV back again. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the coronavirus. This is the coronavirus, and what we're going to be covering is coronavirus could cost, what it could cost, what the coronavirus live updates, and the coronavirus Inovio Pharmaceuticals vaccine, and what the Trump administration is doing to ban traveling, and the coronavirus. I'm going to help you guys out on symptoms, how to identify symptoms, and how to protect yourself. Those stories are coming now. Welcome to the Last Viking TV, where it is TV. TV has many channels, and this channel on YouTube, my channel, has many different topics and many different types of content. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Before we actually get into this, if you wouldn't mind please hitting that subscribe button, I would appreciate it very much. I'm going to cover a lot of information in this video that all I ask is that you just simply please subscribe, comment down below, and or share with your friends and family, so that way everyone is informed on this, because this is information that is not readily available and known. So I'm going to cover it step by step and have the information right in front of you. So now, since you've subscribed, I appreciate it very much, and thank you in advance. So moving on, here we go. The coronavirus could cost China's economy $60 billion this quarter. The economic impact of the virus is still impossible to determine, but one of the state media's outlets and some economists have said that China's growth rate could drop 2% points in this quarter because of the outbreak, which has brought large parts of the country to a standstill. A decline on the scale could mean that $62 billion in lost growth. So you see what that means is China is expecting that the population is going to die because of this virus by about 2%. And that is going to mean that people are not going to be making money, that people are not going to be paying taxes. You can't pay taxes when you're dead, right? So, I mean, that's how bad they're expecting that this virus to do, is basically terminate 2% of China's population. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. China can ill afford that kind of hit. Growth last year was already the country's weakest in nearly 3 decades, as China contended with rising debt and the fallout from its trade war with the United States. The coronavirus, which first appeared in the central city of Wuhan, has already killed more than 200 people and has infected more people than the SARS outbreak in 2003. A disease of this magnitude wasn't even on China's radar before the outbreak. The government was more worried that the social unrest could be its black swan. An improbable but chaotic event officials feared could be spurred by rising unemployment. What a way to, bring out and, to topic and to light, a disease, a virus that is killing people, and China's worried about the unemployment rate. I mean, and jobs and stuff like that, and people making money. I mean, shouldn't they be worried about just fixing this disease in the first place, rather than focusing on, how many people they've got paying taxes and how many people they got making money that's going to support the Chinese government? Seems a little screwed up to me. The coronavirus, which was first appeared in the central city of Wuhan, has already killed more than 200 people. It's getting out of hand. So far, policymakers have taken some steps to help the businesses that are most affected by rapid spread of the disease. Central and local governments have allocated $12.6 billion so far to spend on medical treatments and equipment. Major banks have cut interest rates for small businesses and individuals in the worst hit areas, and the Bank of China said it would allow people in Wuhan and the rest of Hebei province to delay their loan payments for several months if they lose their source of income because of the disruption. The People's Bank of China, the country's central bank, has said that it will ensure there is enough liquidity in the financial markets when they reopen next Monday after a 10-day Lunar New Year holiday. When Hong Kong's markets reopened earlier this week, the Hang Seng Index plunged nearly 6% in just a few days of trading. The aggressive actions, the government will likely have to be even more aggressive in the coming months to avert a more serious slowdown, according to the Chinese economist Zhang Ming. Again, we're going to ignore the fact that there's a super deadly global virus out there killing people, and we're going to focus on the economy of China, is what the government is saying. Zhang, who works at the Chinese Academy of Social Science, wrote this week that he expects economic growth to slump by a percent of 0.5% in the first quarter, assuming the epidemic lasts until the end of March. He described that as his most optimistic scenario, but didn't give a specific forecast should the outbreak last even longer. The government could cut taxes, boost spending on public health care, and employment training, Zhang said. He also expects local governments to spend more on infrastructure by boosting economic activity and creating jobs. He added, cities can offset any weakness in private investments in real estate and manufacturing. The central bank is also likely to deliver more interest rate cuts to stabilize the economy, Zhang said. Altogether, he said, such measures could help growth rebound next quarter and push the annual GDP growth to around 5.7%. While that's lower than last year's 6.1% growth, it would be in the line with many analysts' expectations. Others take a more pessimistic view. This whole disease happened because in Wuhan, okay, people are able to walk up and, pick out the animals that they want, and these are live animals in cages and tied up to posts and stuff like that. And these animals are sick, and they want to sell them because that's how they're going to make money. Because the economy there is so pressured into making money and paying taxes, and if they don't pay taxes, then jail time, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty rough over there. And so a lot of people that have doctors that have actually worked with other doctors and colleagues in China have actually said that the lifestyle there in China in a lot of areas is very medieval lifestyles, meaning that it's kind of not sanitary. They're taking animals that are sick in the forest, carrying diseases and stuff like that, and putting them in cages. And these are cats, dogs, monkeys, snakes, fish, raw fish next to live fish, dead fish that have been dead for weeks, months, next to live fish, flies, maggots. I mean, they're selling this stuff, and they're grabbing the meat, throwing it on the table, chopping it up right out in front of people. Other people can go by, feel the texture of the meat, decide whether they like it or not washing their hands, and throw the meat back down. Next person comes by and says, okay, I like this meat, I'll take it home and cook it. Those diseases and parasites, I mean, that is why this disease happened in the first place. Because of the unsanitary areas like Wuhan that allowed this to happen in the first place. Now, going further into this, live updates. So we're going to go ahead and cover the coronavirus live updates. China says death toll hits 259 people, and confirmed cases rise to 11,791. Again, I'll repeat that. Coronavirus live updates. China says death toll hits 259 people dead just in China. Confirmed cases rise to 11,791, according to CNBC. Now, in Beijing time at 11:50 a.m., the latest on the airline suspending China flights. So this is a list of airlines that are suspending China flights or flights out of China out of China or to China. These are the airlines which have suspended all flights to China amid the outbreak. American Airlines is suspended until March 27. Delta Airlines is suspended until February 6th, all the way to April 30th. Air France is suspended until February 9th. British Airways, Air Seoul, Egypt Air, Lion Air, Lufthansa, Swiss Airlines, Australian Airlines until the end of February. Kenya Airlines, Rwanda Airlines till further notice. Vietjet effective February 1st. All Russian airlines except Aeroflot are all suspended. Airlines which suspending some flights or reducing capacity are Qantas, suspending flights from Sydney to Beijing and Sydney to Shanghai, February 9th to March 29th. United Airlines suspending flights from its hubs to Beijing, Shanghai, and Chengdu from February 6th to March 28th. Air New Zealand reduces flights between Auckland, Shanghai to 4 return services a week from February 18th to March 31st from daily frequency. Singapore Airlines reduced capacity on flights to Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Xiamen, Xiamen, and Chongqing, China. Cathay Pacific progressively reducing capacity to from mainland by 50% or more from January 30th until the end of March. Finnair suspended flights to Nanjing and Beijing until end of March. Turkish Airlines reducing frequency on flights to Beijing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, and Xi'an from February 5th to February 29th. China resumes mask production. Mask manufacturers in some Chinese cities resumed the production of masks, even as many provinces have delayed the start of work. 17 companies in Shanghai and 30 others in Jiangxi have started work manufacturing masks. According to the state media, People's Daily and CGTN on Saturday morning. Meanwhile, overseas Chinese have donated over 1 million masks, according to People's Daily citing of Fujian officials. And so, of course, Beijing is upset that the U.S. has travel restrictions, yada, yada, yada. This is why having border protection is so important. So outbreaks like this doesn't kill innocent people. I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened in China and that a lot of people had to die from this disease. But it's because of the health standards. It's the health standards that the Chinese government allowed and permitted to happen in China. The selling of live animals, not testing these animals, selling them for human consumption, stuff like that. I mean, that is getting out of hand. And then allowing people to come by and touch, slaughtered meat with their hands and go, oh, I don't really like the texture, I'll throw it back. And then somebody else comes by, grab it, no, I don't really like that one. The bacteria from humans to the meat repeatedly until one person finally says, okay, I'll take this home because it's cheap and it's already tenderized. Why is it tenderized? Because people have been grabbing it so much and squeezing it. That's how it's tenderized. So again, this type of stuff should not be other countries' problems. And the diseases that you have in one country, another country is not immune to those diseases. So more and more people are just going to die because the diseases that are in the US, we're immune to them because as children we have immunizations and we get our shots and injections for vaccines and stuff like that. If our diseases go to another country, those countries are going to also have a problem in controlling our viruses because they're not immune to them. That's why the diseases spread. That's why border protection, borders are necessary and required and a must to have for every country. Every country is the same. Only the people that want to freak out because they can't get in the U.S. Without signing papers and without doing it legally. I mean, you got to. I mean, that's just. I can't go to another country without doing paperwork and without them knowing that I'm there. I can't just swim across the Pacific Ocean and be like, hey, I'm in Japan and this is where I want to live. They're going to know I swam across the Pacific Ocean if I survive. Someone's going to be watching me. And I would stand out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And I would not be accepted. I would not be accepted knowing that I got there illegally, that I'm taking in all the benefits that their government has to offer, and that, all those things. And it's not right that people pick on the U.S. for wanting to protect its borders and wanting to protect its citizens that deserve, that have gone through the paperwork, that have stood in the lines, that have done stuff legally to get here in the United States. These diseases could definitely be stopped by that, by transmitting between people to people to people to people all the time. I understand business travel is one thing, but again, borders, protections, stuff like that, also another step in the right direction of preventing a lot of diseases that we have in the world, in all different countries all over the world. So moving on, Inovio Pharmaceuticals. This is my favorite part of the topic here. Inovio selected by CEPI to develop vaccine against new coronavirus, January 23rd, 2020. The NASDAQ symbol for Inovio is INO. If you want to go and invest there, maybe. Anyways, today announced that Coalition for the Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, CEPI, has awarded Inovio a grant of up to $9 million to develop a vaccine against the recently emerged strain of coronavirus 2019 NCOV that has killed numerous people and infected hundreds more in China to date. This initial CEPI funding will support Inovio's preclinical and clinical development through Phase 1 human testing of INO 4800. Its new coronavirus vaccine matched to outbreak strain. CEPI previously awarded Inovio a grant of up to $56 million for the development of vaccines against Lassa fever in Middle East Respiratory Syndrome MERS, also caused by a coronavirus. MERS and SARS is a coronavirus. And so, Inovio's participation in this developing effort is based on the ideal suitability of its DNA medicine platform to rapidly develop a vaccine against an emerging virus with pandemic potential, proven vaccine development capabilities, and a strong track record for a rapidly generating promising countermeasures against previous pandemic threats. Inovio was the first to advance in its vaccines, INO 4700 against MERS-CoV, a related coronavirus, into evaluation in humans. Inovio is currently preparing to initiate a Phase 2 vaccine trial for INO 4700 in the Middle East, where most MERS viral outbreaks have occurred. In a recently published paper in Lancet Infectious Diseases, Inovio's Phase 1 studies of its MERS-CoV vaccine demonstrated it was well tolerated and furthermore induced high levels of antibody responses in roughly 95% of subjects, while also generating broad-based T-cells responses in nearly 90% of study participants. Durable antibody responses to INO 4700 were also maintained through 60-week following dosing. So after they've already received the injection, they've maintained their ability to fight the disease even after 60 weeks after receiving the injection. That's pretty good. Richard Hatchett, CEPI's CEO, said, given the rapid global spread of the 2019 NCOV virus, which is the coronavirus that we're talking about today, the Wuhan virus, world needs to act quickly in unity to tackle this disease, he says. Our intention with this work is to leverage our work with Inovio on MERS, coronavirus, and rapid response platform to speed up vaccine development. Dr. Joseph Kim, Inovio's president and CEO, said, "We're extremely honored to expand our partnership with CEPI to tackle this new threat to global public health. Our DNA medicine platform represents the best modern day approach to combating emerging pandemics. We have already demonstrated positive clinical outcomes with our vaccine against MERS-CoV, another coronavirus. Importantly, following the Zika viral infection outbreak, Inovio and our partners developed a vaccine that went from bench to human testing in just 7 months, the fastest vaccine development on record in recent decades. We believe we can further improve upon accelerated timeline to meet the current challenge of emerging Chinese coronavirus 2019-nCoV. Inovio's collaborators in this coronavirus vaccine development include the Wistar Institute, VGXI, a fully owned subsidiary of Gene One Life Science, and Twist Bioscience, NASDAQ, symbol TWST. So, moving on. The Trump administration restricts travel from Nigeria and 5 other countries. The Trump administration announced Friday it will restrict the ability of immigrants to travel to the United States from 6 countries. The government will curb the ability of citizens of Nigeria, Myanmar, Eritrea, Kyrgyzstan, Sudan, and Tanzania to get certain immigration visas, according to officials with the Department of Homeland Security and the State Department, but it's not a blanket travel ban. It's not a blanket travel ban. The officials cited national security concerns in identifying those countries, saying those governments do not meet requirements for information sharing and passport security. President Trump was expected to sign a proclamation approving the restrictions on Friday afternoon, and it will go into effect February 22nd. The announcement comes just over 3 years after the Trump first announced he would impose a travel ban targeted several Muslim majority nations. An altered version of that ban was later upheld in the Supreme Court, and travel ban from Iran, Libya, Syria, Somalia, North Korea, Venezuela, and Yemen is still restricted. The expanded ban is certain to be challenged in courts, and former diplomats have already expressed confusion over the inclusion of Nigeria in particular, warning that restricting travel from some of those countries will harm American interests. Not really. Not really, no. Anyways, we're going to get into and cover what is the coronavirus. The coronavirus are types of viruses that typically affect the respiratory tract and mammals, including humans. They are associated with the common cold, pneumonia, and severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS, and can also affect the gut. A coronavirus was first isolated in 1937 from an infectious bronchitis virus in birds that has the ability to seriously devastate poultry stocks. Again, live animals being bought and sold, slaughtered, not tested, and eaten for human consumption. These viruses are responsible for between 15% and 30% of, get this, of common colds. Again, I'll read that again. The viruses, coronaviruses, are responsible for between 15 and 30% of common colds, according to medicalnewstoday.com. Over the last 70 years, scientists have found that coronaviruses can infect mice, animals being bought and sold for human consumption in Wuhan market, rats also being used for human consumption in Wuhan wet markets, dogs also being used for human consumption in Wuhan Chinese markets, cats also being used for human consumption in Wuhan Chinese markets, turkeys, maybe not. Horses being used for animal consumption or human consumption in Wuhan Chinese markets. Pigs being used for human consumption in Wuhan Chinese markets. And cattle being used for human consumption in Wuhan Chinese markets. Most recently, authorities identified a coronavirus outbreak in China that has now reached other countries. Now we're going to get into how to protect yourself. How to protect yourself. First of all, we're going to get to so the coronavirus can be spread when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Hand washing is the first line of defense. Okay, so how is the coronavirus spread? Well, when the Wuhan coronavirus outbreak is a new illness, and scientists are still assessing how it spreads from person to person, but similar viruses tend to spread via cough and sneezing droplets. When an infected person coughs or sneezes, they release droplets of saliva or mucus. These droplets can fall on people in the vicinity and can be either directly inhaled or picked up on the hands, then transferred when someone touches their face, causing infection. For flu, some hospital guidelines define exposure as being within 6 feet of an infected person who sneezes or coughs for 10 minutes or longer. Below here is an image. You can see 6 feet to the left and 6 feet to the right, and 6 feet from behind, 6 feet in front, can cause people to get infected. Not only that, but once the person coughs or sneezes in that vicinity, any armrests, chairs, toilet paper that might be in a public bathroom, toilet seats, handlebars, doorknobs, cups, glasses, forks, all these things that are in restaurants, stuff like that, napkins, plates, air conditionings. These viruses can be spread through droplets landing on surfaces such as seats on buses or trains or desks in schools. However, whether this is a main transmission route depends on how long the viruses survive on the surfaces. This can vary between, get this, the lifespan of this virus can vary between hours and months. Months. Yeah, serious stuff. And so there is an anecdotal evidence that the virus can be spread by people before they have symptoms. So it can be spread even when people don't have symptoms. They're not coughing. They're just basically maybe sneezing once, breathing in the air. You go up and, they've been picking their teeth, and they go up and shake your hand, and then you wipe your eyes. Now you're infected. Some other illnesses, such as the flu, can be passed from person to person and another before symptoms occur, but the extent to which this is happening with the Wuhan coronavirus is not yet well understood yet. Now we're going to get into how to protect yourself. How to protect yourself and others. Wash your hands and wet your hands with clean running water and apply soap. Lather your hands, including the backs between your fingers and under your nails, and scrub for at least 20 seconds, and then rinse. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, then throw the tissue in the bin and wash your hands. If you do not have a tissue to hand, cough or sneeze into your elbow rather than your hands. Face masks offer some protection as they block liquid droplets. However, they do not block smaller aerosol particles that can pass through the material of the mask. The masks also leave eyes exposed, and there is evidence that some viruses can infect a person through their eyes, such as the coronavirus. So now, seek early medical help if you have a fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, and share your travel history with your healthcare professional and providers. If visiting live markets where animals are live animals that you can buy and sell, avoid direct, unprotected contact with live animals and surfaces that have been in contact with animals. Again, avoiding raw meats, animal produced, basically just going vegan for a while. If you are in an affected area, avoid eating raw or uncooked animal products. And exercise care when handling raw meats, milk, or animal organs to avoid cross contamination with uncooked foods. If you have returned from an infected area in China in the last 2 weeks, stay indoors and avoid contact with other people for 14 days. This means not going to work, school, or public areas. If you have returned from an infected area and develop a high temperature, cough, runny nose, sore throat, or difficulty breathing, do not leave your home until you have been given advice by a doctor. So, if you're in areas where people have been affected, like Irvine, California, Washington, Arizona, just to name a few states, and you're out in public areas and you develop a fever and stuff like that, contact a doctor right away. Don't waste time. This disease can actually be, helped and cured a lot faster if you report early symptoms. So again, if this video was helpful for you, please, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video and the content of it, and that it was informative to you. Most importantly, please share this content with all your friends and family. If you care about the people, you're definitely going to inform them about how to stay safe, what this disease is all about, and how serious it is, and the precautions to take to prevent it from happening to you or your loved ones. Again, please subscribe down below. Thanks for watching. Until next time, Last Viking TV is out. My channel has a lot of random content. That's why I call it Last Viking TV, because on TV you have different channels. And on this channel, on YouTube, my channel, Last Viking TV, has a lot of different content. So I hope you enjoy, and that there's always going to be something on this channel that you're going to enjoy as well. Thanks for watching. Last Viking TV is out.